What up, what up, what up, guys? I just making another video about whatever's on my mind. The last video I did, it was it was a freestyle rant, but I end up going into the realm of politics and talk about dating apps and all this kind of stuff. But what's on my mind now, man? I just have my mind on comic books, particularly Marvel and anything that would comic books, science fiction, whatever. You know what I'm saying, that genre. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always been into like science fiction. I was a science geek. I love astronomy. Learn about the planets. And I started reading comic books. I would say like, shoot, probably since I was a little kid, but I really started like getting consistent with comic books back in the early '90s when I first saw the X-Men X-Men cartoon back in the '90s, back in the day when Fox played the first X-Men cartoon back in the day, back in the early '90s. That's when I started getting into comic books, when I started buying them. Yeah, I remember buying like all the X Men back in the day, but I wish I kept those damn comic books. But I remember, the Uncanny X Men, X Factor, Excalibur, Generation X. What else? There was like X Force. Shoot, it was like a whole bunch of like spin-off comics of the X Men back in the day. And I remember buying all those like way back then. I wish I kept some of them, but I got a few that I found like because I recently started buying comic books again, and I found like I was so lucky. I used to buy Wolverine comic books back in the day, and I found like some issues I had bought back in the '90s. I found them like a couple of weeks ago at a comic book store. So I'm happy about that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to think what else I used to buy back in the day. Like Silver Surfer. Let me see. Of course, Silver Surfer. What else I used to read? I never really got into DC comics. I have nothing against DC, but it would come down to like Superman, Spider Man. I mean, not Spider Man, but Batman, DC comics. I never really got into DC. I was just like more focused on Marvel. You know what I'm saying? So, but later on, I started. I'll say I take that back. The only DC comics that I characters that I'm into was kind of like like the darker side of DC. Like John Constantine, Hellblazer, stuff like that. I like those kind of comics and everything. So I'm like more into. I like a lot of different genres, but like recently I started getting into like a lot of the dark comics. You know what I'm saying? Because I love the character John Constantine from Hellblazer. Spawn is interesting. Lucifer. Um, what else? Blade, but that's Marvel. And actually, I just bought a Blade comic a couple weeks ago, and I was so lucky. I was at this shop, and they were saying like they're selling like used DVDs, and I got like a used copy of Blade, the original Blade from '98 with Wesley Snipes. I got that on DVD. I ain't seen that joint in years. I just popped it in. I was like, wow. Cause like I said, I ain't seen it in a long time. I just watched it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, it was good. So I need to get part two. I didn't like part three though. 'Cause I remember seeing part three when it came out, and I wasn't really into it. But that's like the first two Blades are good, and let me see what else. Like I said, but comic books, you know what I'm saying? This, uh, but mainly like ones I used to read were like X Men. I never really got into the Avengers back in the day. I knew of them, but I never like read Avengers comics, and I didn't start getting it because I just wasn't familiar. I wasn't familiar with the Avengers, and I didn't get familiar with them until like the movies came out. Because I knew of them. I know about Iron Man, but never about the Iron Man comic. I knew about Thor. You know what I'm saying? And but coming out the other characters, I wasn't like too familiar with them. I knew about Doctor Strange, but it's just like the other characters, like the Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, shoot, you know, a lot of the other characters. I wasn't too familiar with them like that. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, right, as of right now, man, because you know, for like a long time, I never bought comic books like a long time, but now recently, within the last couple of years, I'm starting to get back into them. I know a lot of people say comic books are not serious; it's like kiddie stuff, but comic books have very interesting characters, very interesting storylines. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes down to like the whole realm of comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever you want to call it, um, a lot of people don't. I would say a lot of adults can't really get into it because they have like a linear thinking. But I understand sci-fi very well. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why they don't like sci-fi because they don't really have like a firm foundation in it. You know what I'm saying? But I've been into it for like a long time, man. 'Cause I remember when I was a little kid, I watched Star Trek, I watched Doctor Who, and I got into Doctor Who before majority of people got into Doctor Who because back in the early '90s, the local PBS station in my hometown would play reruns of Doctor Who. I think they played them like late at night, Sunday night. Because I remember like I was like stay up to like 10, 11 o'clock and the PBS station would play like the reruns of like, the Tom Baker episodes and episodes for the 70s and the 80 episodes for the 80s and stuff like that. And I remember like staying up. I know I had to go to school the next day, right? I remember like trying to stay, the news went off, and the news went off, I put on the PBS, you know what I'm saying? I would watch it, stay up and sometimes I would fall asleep watch Doctor Who, and I'd be mad as hell. It'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning. I wake up like, damn, you see the ending credits. I'm like, oh man, shoot, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really familiar with Doctor Who, man. I know all about like everything about the Time Lords, the Daleks, the Cybermen. He regenerates the TARDIS, bigger the inside than it is and the outside. You know what I'm saying, and all this kind of stuff. And you know what I'm saying, I knew all about all about Doctor Who long before like he got like revitalized in the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying with what was the guy David Tennant and the guy before him, Matt Smith, and people like that. 'Cause I remember like watching the episodes with Tom Baker, you know, Peter Davidson, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, the old Doctor Who episodes from back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But coming down to Doctor Who now, I'm not. I mean, I like the old Doctor Who, but I'll say like the new Doctor Who now, I refuse to watch it. I refuse to watch it. You know what I'm saying? I think Doctor Who probably died out. Maybe like for me, it was like maybe like during the Matt Smith era. You know, with Matt Smith, no, right around the time of Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, that's when the show started going downhill, and that's when I stopped watching it. And let me stop talking about Doctor Who. Star Trek. I just started watching Star Trek Picard because I've not watched any new Star Trek. I have not watched Discovery. I have not watched Strange New Worlds. I have not watched Picard. But I just so happened to sit down and watch Picard season 3. Because I heard a lot of people say it's good. They will say like out of all the new Trek, Picard season 3 was the one that's worth watching. out of all of them. I sat down and watched it. Man, Bakar season 3 was good. It was really good because it was pure Trek. It had that Trek spirit, like that, like the nostalgia, the atmosphere of Star Trek. It nailed it. You know what I'm saying? They had all the old cast from the Next Generation. They had some cast from Voyager. They had Seven of Nine in there, Tuvok in there, Ro was in there. Of course, they had everybody from the TNG. You know what I'm saying? And it finally brought closure to the TNG generation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It brought a lot of closure. And I really hope they just leave it like that. Just leave Trek just leave it where it is. Don't try to revitalize Picard. You know what I'm saying? The story has an ending, a happy ending. Leave it as that. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I feel about it. And let me think what else. Star Wars. Uh, That's my opinion on Star Wars right now. The first trilogy from the 80s, for the late 70s, early 80s, right? 1977, the first Star Wars, Chapter 4. Um, the third one, Empire Strikes Back. The fourth one, Return of the Jedi. Those three are science fiction staples. You know what I'm saying? There's like just I would say we'll come down to Star Wars. That's Star Wars right there. Anything outside of that, maybe you let me see what else. I'm trying to think because I've seen the Ewok movies in forever. I remember like back in the day. A lot of people don't remember this, but right after Star Wars, this is like back in the 80s. They made a Ewok movie, I didn't even know they made two of them. I remember one of them vaguely. They had like a spinoff Star Wars movie. It wasn't part of the trilogy, but it was about the Ewoks. And I ain't seen that just since I was a little kid. I want to try to find those. You can find them online. I just need to like order them because they got them on DVD. You have to order them online, and you got those, and then you have, of course, the prequels. You know what I'm saying? Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, um, Revenge of the Sith, whatever. And I would say compared to like the new trilogy, those are pretty good. At least the prequels kind of like stayed pure to canon in a way. So you know what I'm saying? So, it told a story about Anakin Skywalker. So I would say they're legit. They're not as good as the trilogy from the 80s, but they still, you can say they're still legit, whatever. But when it comes down to like the new trilogy they just put out with uh the Mary Sue, I can't remember the girl's name, the lead girl on there. It's bad. I can't remember her. Daisy Ridley, Ray, yeah, one with Ray and Finn. They messed up on that one, but I give them credit. The first one, The Force Awakens, was good, but they should have. But I would say like after The Force Awakens, after that, when I went to go see the second one, The Last Jedi, I was like, it looked like sour taste in my mouth. I was like, nah. And Star Wars, it's just like it's like I haven't seen any of the series at all. I have not seen The Mandalorian. I have not seen Kenobi. I have not seen Acolyte. I have not seen. There's a whole bunch of them they put out. A whole bunch of little Star Wars miniseries they put out, but I can't keep up. They put out so many of them. I can't keep up with all of them. You know what I'm saying? And let me just give you my opinion on Star Wars and what they should do with it. This is just my personal opinion. I would say when it comes down to Star Wars, what they need to do, I do want to save it. If they want to save Star Wars, cancel every project they got going on right now. Cancel the new Ray movie, cancel all the series, scrap it. wait maybe 5 years, give or take, and then when the 5 years is over with, put out an R-rated movie about the Sith that's loyal to canon. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, if you read like extended universe about the origin of the Sith, use that material to make like a action-packed R-rated Sith movie that's epic. That's all they get. If they do that, then it will revitalize. Like, I mean, that's just my opinion. I would say like it'll give like new energy and juice to like Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, they can make like a more better. Cause you know what I'm saying? Cause Star Wars is not just centered around Luke Skywalker. And all, you know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, he's a central figure, but I'm talking about like the whole Star Wars universe itself. There's a lot of stuff in the extended universe, you know what I'm saying, what they call it, like the EU, you know what I'm saying, they're not using, you know what I'm saying. But that's just my opinion on that, you know what I'm saying. So this is just my rant on science fiction, what I think about it. And coming down to Doctor Who, they just need to cancel Doctor Who. Just cancel it. You know what I'm saying? Just scrap it. Star Trek. I don't want to say Star Trek. I would say the next series, make a series that's post Voyager. You know what I'm saying? That's you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I've not really watched Discovery at all. I see like bits and pieces of it, but I haven't been keeping up with it. But I would say like I don't like this whole going back in time to retcon and like pre Kirk and all this kind of stuff. I don't like that. They need to like push it further into the future with like past Voyager, maybe like the 26th century, something like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion on that. But that's all I got to say on that, on this topic of science fiction. I can go on and on about it, but if you want to comment below, like the video. I'd love to hear your commentary. If you agree or disagree, and that's all I got to say. And peace.